Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of iStartup. I'm here with Omer from an amazing company called Innoviz. Um, now, let's Omer, tell me about this company. Just what is it? What do you guys do? Yeah.
Well, Innoviz is developing a technology that is called LiDAR. LiDAR, it's kind of a light radar, meaning that it's a laser scanner that spreads light, it shoots light in order to a laser beam across the scene and scans it in a way to build a 3D model in real time. And by doing that in a very high resolution and high frame rate, you can actually achieve a 3D video. Now, once you have that kind of vision, it's much easier for a car and basically anything that you want to make decisions to travel in the 3D space to understand better the surrounding. And basically, 6 years ago, when we started, the only LiDARs that were available in the market were very, very expensive, and I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars, and it became prohibitive for the use of LiDARs in scale for autonomous vehicles. And we basically developed a product that is significantly smaller and cheaper, but also better. And we started 6 years ago. Today, we are 440 people.
Wow.
We have 2 series production deals. One of them is with BMW, is going to launch soon series production of a level 3 vehicle using our LiDAR. And we're working on more technologies. We just introduced a second generation product, and we are working on the future ones as well.
Wow. Wait, so what you just showed me, that's what's put into the cars?
Yeah, this product here.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see. This is mounted either to the grill or to the roof, and inside here there's a laser that scans the scene and creates a 3D video. Now, that raw 3D information is not just transferred to the car computer because it's just raw 3D information. What we do as well is that on top of that 3D information, we use our software stack, which analyze the 3D information and translate it into object detection classification. Very much what you probably know from what Mobileye is doing. Mobileye translates data that comes from 2D sensors, cameras, into insights, where are cars, pedestrian, trucks, etc. And we are required to do the same. Only that we do that on 3D, not on 2D. So when the car is connected with our product, it doesn't get a raw 3D information. It gets basically a replicate of what you could expect to get from Mobileye, but from a 3D sensor, which has a lot of benefits because it's much easier for a LiDAR to understand where things are, and it is significantly less sensitive to low light condition or rain or direct sun, and that makes it much more robust.
Wow. Now tell me, so 6 years ago, this company started 6 years ago, right? What got you to the path of starting this company? Like you woke up one day and you said, I wanna create these systems so we can have, I don't know, is it like self-driving cars or cars that can set like sensors for, like, how did this come about?
Well, it started many years before I started Innoviz. It actually started when I was 10.
Wow.
Okay. Now, it started when I was 10 because my older sister got into a very serious car accident. And although I was not involved in that accident, my life were very much involved in that because it changed the life of my family. and I grew up to be the person that I am today,
Wow.
for the better or worse. And I think my biggest takeaway from that event in my life is that you don't need to be even involved physically in a car accident to understand how important it is to avoid it. And it's clear that 100 years after the first introduction of vehicles into the world, we didn't do enough to solve one of the biggest problems that we still face on a day-to-day. And there is no other bigger, I would say, source of problem that we are exposed to on a day-to-day more than cars.
Correct.
We travel from one place to another. We have to. We do that by using the transportation means that are available today, and they are very unsafe. And there are ways to make it much more safe. And I'm happy to be part of a revolution that solves that problem. And I saw that the LiDAR is a prohibitive solution, meaning that it is necessary, but it's actually too expensive, too big, not good enough. And I found myself to take the role of trying to solve this problem. I thought it was important enough to do it. Now, the idea, the inception of the idea specifically, that also started a few years before I started Innoviz. I was working in a startup that was developing a very tiny video projector, as small as the fingertip, very, very small. It was based on using lasers and some chips that allowed us to project the light in a certain way. I was quite amazed on the technology capability. It's called MEMS. MEMS is like a chip that can deflect light in different directions. And in 2012, I saw a commercial of a company, another Israeli company called PrimeSense. PrimeSense was developing the Kinect. The Kinect is the 3D sensor that was used by Xbox for video games. And I remember seeing the commercial of that kid going to the living room. The character in the television was shouting to the kid, "Let's fight." And the little kid was starting to throw his fists in the air. And I'm a geek. I got excited. It looked like super cool. I said, "Wow, this is just mind-blowing." And it got me very curious to understand how it works. And I realized that 3D sensing is something that has to come out from the living room to do more. And I started to explore kind of what it takes to make a 3D sensor that you can actually take out of the living room for very long range and work in a very sunny day. Those are very rough challenges for that kind of system. And I had an idea of how to solve it, but trying to
implement
to go with you, time traveling to 2012. What everyone was really focused on was to build technologies for mobile phones.
Of course, yeah.
But nobody talked about anything else but building technologies that can eventually be adopted by either Apple or Samsung or the big giants. And I couldn't think about how I can make it small enough to fit in a mobile phone. So I thought it's a nice gadget. And actually put it in a list of ideas in my drawer. And in end of 2015, I opened that drawer and I found a list of some ideas which I was considering to create. Innoviz was one of them, and it was ripened to start it because I saw that suddenly there is an opportunity in a market that is only beginning to be created, which was starving for innovation, which was the automotive space. There was lack of technology, and there was a clear need for such a device. and then I started. I felt that this is something that is a good fit for me and for my background, for my knowledge, for my, I would say, my own passion
Yeah.
on
Well,
developing such technologies.
coming back from your sister, and then you open that drawer and you said, we're making this company, like this is happening. And now you're here, 2022, and look at the company. It's a big company. Now tell me one thing. The LiDAR was created to detect like objects and people, to save people from, to save like the cars from car crashes, but he's also created for like to create autonomous vehicles, like so they can drive self-driving vehicles. It has both, right?
Yeah, sure. So let me try to break it down. So there
Sure.
are there are different layers in a product which you call an autonomous vehicle. There is the sensor level, that's the low level. Basically, that allows you to understand, I would say, see the environment.
Yeah.
Then you need another layer that understands what you're looking at. That's the
Mhm.
perception software. That's what we develop. We translate the raw sensor data to meaningful information, such as people, pedestrian, their direction, velocity. And then you have sensor fusion, meaning that you take all of the information you get from different sensors around the vehicle and provide one coherent, I would say, map of the environment of the vehicle. And then you go into another layer, which is the driving decision, which takes information from the GPS, from maps, from trying to understand where you need to go, and of course, from the fusion level. And basically, the output of that system is very, very simple. It's
Yeah.
right, left, and gas or brake. It's like the output eventually is just replicating what we do as people,
Right.
but hopefully in a better manner. So now, as I said, in making an autonomous vehicle, it's not just about the LiDAR, but the LiDAR is a bottleneck in that path. There were other bottlenecks when we started, cybersecurity, processing power, computing power. I think everything is now available technology-wise. I think the bigger task right now is to continue the validation, get to the confidence level,
Yeah.
to actually ship products. And because to serve an autonomous vehicle means that you need to take liability, meaning that if anything goes wrong, you need to take the liability. That's a big step.
Yeah.
And it's about testing. It's about doing enough kilometer drive to see that you cover sufficient use cases, variants, weather conditions, and that's what's going on right now.
So you're saying that the technology is ready to go. Self-driving cars are ready to go. It's just about the testing, and obviously no company wants to be the first one to do it, maybe because of all the liability, but it's ready to go.
It's like technology is available. It's about validation, and once the validation would be completed and you solve all of the bugs in the system, it will be ready to go. From where I'm sitting, seeing working with BMW as a car company that is planning to issue a real level 3. I think that will be the first, but it's an interesting time to be in.
Wait, so level 3 is fully self-driving? Is that what you're saying?
Let me try to elaborate on that. So there are different levels, level 0, 1, 2, 3. Level 0 is basically, no one is helping you, you're driving. If anything goes wrong, you need to make a decision. In level 1, you start to get, advices, bips for things that you should be aware of. Sometimes the car could actually be active, but only either on the pedals or the wheel, meaning that not both. On level 2, the car can actually control the car completely and drive, but not instead of you, meaning that you need to be in the loop. You need to make sure the car does not make any bad decision. If the car tries to kill you, you need to react. In level 3, you can say it's the same functionality, only that there's still a wheel and pedals because it's automated driving on specific locations mostly. But when it's enabled, you can actually disengage. You can look at your phone. You anyway do it, but this time you can do that in a safe manner. Wow. And if anything goes wrong, God forbid, it's not your fault. It's the fault of the car, and that's the big step. The reason that level 3 still requires a wheel and pedals is because it's limited in location, right? It's basically mostly on highways. Driving autonomously on a highway limits a little bit the use case because it's only on straight roads, less intersection or at all, less people around you. It's more limited in terms of what might happen on the road, because completing the validation, which is a key in order to release such a feature, if you include urban scenarios, that's endless. You can have endless options of how urban scenario can look like. Highways is more, I would say, it's more clean, more clear, and it's more easy to make sure that you validate it sufficiently. Level 4 is it's actually a vehicle that you can throw away the wheel and pedals. It's a situation where the car can drive without a human being, but only in limited times or conditions or areas. For example, we are working on a program for a level 4 shuttle. That's a bus that moves people from one place to another, but in a predetermined route. And you can imagine this is rather easy to validate because you do the same path over and over 200 times. You almost cover anything that might happen. But the good thing is it already serves quite a lot of value to people, because even though it's not from anywhere to anywhere, many people lack of good public transportation, while this can actually solve it. So there are many benefits to autonomous vehicle, even before it becomes that kind of robotaxi that picks you up takes your kids to school, brings them back, prepare dinner to them, read them stories at night, and talks to your wife before you go to sleep. That is something that maybe my next startup. But in the meantime, I think that level 3, level 4 are quite a value add to many people.
Of course, it was, first of all, it'll save a lot of lives because people make bad decisions. People are tired. The car doesn't get tired. The technology doesn't.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a great driver, but most others are not.
Aren't we all? Wow. Wait.
Most people think that way.
So, Omer, what's it like running this company out of Israel? Like, you tell me again where you are right now.
I'm in Rosh Hashanah. Look, I think that it's I would rather manage the company from Israel, because I think the hummus in other countries is not as good. I don't think that I would agree to put that behind me. So there is no condition here. But seriously, I think that being located in Israel is quite helpful for automotive, because the real market for automotive is in Germany. Okay, I know that many startups in Israel always look at the US as the target audience and target companies. In automotive, the Germans are the early adopters. Those are the companies that eventually would be the first to adopt a new technology, and therefore being located in Israel is actually quite easy. Time zone, traveling distance, it's very easy. Sometimes I take a flight in the morning and come back home at night.
Wow.
Middle of the night, but night. And it's easy, it's I think that the German culture is not very different than the Israeli in terms of commitment to reliability and commitment to to results and quality. Israeli are very minded about bringing a good product quality. Not saying that others are not, but
Right.
I think that people are, the Israeli companies are very strong in technologies,
Yeah.
and those that's exactly what the automotive market is currently yawning from. Really need, right? Sensing, AI, cybersecurity. This is like that's the playground of Israel high tech.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that makes sense. Now tell me, so you have over 400 employees now, right? So you started, let's say 6 years ago with you, and tell me like how the growth came, from Omer to right now, like over the past years. Did it grow like really quickly, or was it like slow, slow, slow? Like,
Look, quickly, and as we say in Israel, we started the fastest and accelerated over time.
yeah,
It's when I started, in the first month I hired about 18 people,
yeah,
and I did that in a in a certain Ocean 11 style. And it was before we even had an office, because I quit my previous job, knowing that I want to start a company. I had an idea, but before I realized to choose the name of the company or exactly what I want to do, I raised about $9 million in about 2 or 3 weeks.
wow,
I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. I think through thanks to my background, and
yeah,
I think that I was lucky enough to find investors that understood good enough about the market I'm trying to play in,
yeah,
and seeing the good fit between my idea and the market, which they knew better than me. I didn't know automotive, and my wife always made jokes on me that I'm starting a company in an industry she knows more about than me at that time. Uh, I mean, she knows all the models and all the. I didn't know anything. Um, I drove like a Suzuki, like the old
yeah,
one.
yeah,
I didn't care that much. Anyway, I think that I was fortunate enough to go through enough places and meet good people. So when I called them out, telling them that I want to start a new company, I was fortunate to bring quite a very very big pile of talents in many disciplines, right? The Ocean 11, like we brought the best
but
mechanical engineering, the best optical engineering, mechanical processing, you name it,
yeah,
all disciplines around the table. And I think that's when you build good relationship with people,
right,
when you believe that working with people that you care about, and you create that relationship, it helps you
yeah,
long term. It's
yeah,
it's helpful, and we became 18 quite fast. Now, once you have the best engineers in the country joining to one team, so many good things happen, right? Because obviously they execute in the best you can imagine.
yeah,
So things technically are making progress quite fast, which brings a lot of customers, brings a lot of investors, brings more talent. I mean, people that come into the office to hear about what you do, and they see the talent around the table, they want to be part of it. So it's a
right,
magnet.
mhm,
And one of the things that I always talk about is about the culture of the company, and which is, today I had a meeting. I meet everyone who joins the company. Today I
yeah,
met like 3 people, and the guy in the last just an hour ago,
yeah,
he's like, I'm surprised that you're still meeting people. Every employee that joins. And I told him that eventually it's my way to kind of like convey my vision and make sure that I know people, because I walk around the office quite a lot. I spend a lot of time with people because that makes me connected to reality as much as possible,
right,
and understanding from people where things are, and sharing my kind of my help where is needed. But I think that what was more important for me to hear was about the way that he described the DNA in the company. And I think that the way that we managed to do it is because, once you bring quite a big group of people from the first day, you can make an effort in creating a certain DNA, the culture of the company.
Sure.
And then when it's big enough of a group, that's like, it's like a magnet. Like no specific person that come from outside can change that kind of DNA. Like people get the vector, understand the north,
Yeah.
right, of that
Yeah.
group of people, and that's what keeping us safe. We have a certain culture in which we very respectful for each other, open, and always helping each other, making our voice available, like like looking at in eye level of things. That's exactly what helps us to keep our organization clean and very focused and professional. We are working in an industry where being professional is very, very important, because we are working on life safety.
Yeah.
And that's the way we need to keep it.
Everything, when everyone works together and they're creating the best product possible, that's going to save lives. Or that already, I'm saying it's already being implemented, but it will be, because and you know what, that's
I want that people at some point of time would be sitting in a car and feeling safe and secure, because they know that the hundreds of engineers that work day and night very, very hard. And I can tell you, autonomous driving has a certain theme of something very kind of like a fantasy and sexy and like like fun. But in reality, you need to have so much effort that is very repetitive, and to the final details. You need to test in harsh conditions. There are so many issues you need to deal with. It's far away from being just like innovation. It is actually involves a lot of scrutiny of making sure everything is working as the best way it's possible. And I want to create that, like to make sure that people understand that the people here at Innoviz work very, 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 very hard to make that happen. Because if eventually it will not work as needed, we will miss all of the opportunity behind what we are trying to create, because we need people to feel safe to use the technology that will eventually save them.
That's amazing. Now, what are new things happening right now in the company? Like anything, like you probably are always innovating, right? What's something new that's happened, let's say in the past few months, or something that you're like working on, something exciting?
Sure. Look, there are, in parallel, there are things that we do on the technology side, and there are things that we do on the commercial side. Okay. On the commercial side, we are working with more car companies on their autonomous driving programs. Currently, so far we announced about two programs that we are already involved, and we're working on more, very big opportunities that I think would be, I think that you should expect to see some avalanche, in the coming few months, where you see more and more car makers coming out with announcements about their autonomous driving plans. It's no longer kind of like just vision or like there are actual activities in long chain level 3 and higher activities. And that's something that we obviously spend a lot of time on. That's on the commercial side. On the technology side, so now I told you that we about a year ago we announced our second generation. It's a product that is 30 times better the original one, the Innoviz one. The Innoviz one was selected by BMW. It's going to series production, and now we're getting out Innoviz 2, which is 30 times better, like longer range, higher resolution, etc., but at about 70% cost reduction. Now, that's very, very meaningful, because you can imagine, of course, like for BMW, premium car that can absorb a certain price point, if you want to go into any car, you need to get to a price point that is affordable for less. So that price reduction is what I see as a penetration to make that happen. I mean, so far LiDARs were prohibitive, really too expensive. Even Innoviz one, and I'm saying that clearly, it was a product. It was okay for the premium vehicles. It was too expensive, for car makers that are at a higher volume. But it's fine. I mean, not all car makers will launch in the same day, and there will be still like the technical car makers, the more premium one would launch faster with those kind of technologies. But now it's important that we will be able to offer a technology that at a much lower cost to allow others. And that's what we're doing with Innoviz too. And that's very exciting because it's a product that is substantially better and cheaper than the first product. And it connects to the commercial discussion. And then we are working on another technology, or I would say another category, which is different than automotive. So far for the automotive, we were very focused on a LiDAR that is, it looks like a camera. I mean, it's front looking. It looks towards the front of the vehicle. It's good for highways. It's good for kind of like understanding what's in front of the vehicle. But when you start thinking about trucks, buses, and urban scenarios, you obviously need to see a 360 view of the entire vehicle. And it doesn't mean, by the way, that one device that looks around it is enough, because the vehicle is not a point, right? It has a certain geometry, and there is no single point in the car where you place one sensor that looks around it in 360 is enough to see everything, because eventually it's a certain structure. So we are working on a design that is, it provides a 360 view. It's a very, very small device. You can mount in different locations of the vehicle, and then you can achieve the full view around the vehicle, and at a very competitive price point, and even further improvements of the performance.
So basically what you're saying is that the autonomous vehicle, like all over the world, this is about to explode. First with the more high-end companies, but even with the regular companies, because you guys, and I don't know about whatever, but the price point is getting to a place where car companies can afford to put them in the cars. So this is happening right now. Like this conversation, like if we talked in 2015, it would have been a different story. But right now, 2022, this is happening. Like you said, in the next few months, you think that some companies are going to announce it, which is that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's a very interesting year. Many car makers are planning to launch an autonomous vehicle at certain level 3 or level 4 in the time frame of 24, 25, 26. And of course, in order to make that happen, they need to make a decision today, right? I mean, you need to see them starting to build those plans, and those are the things that we are part of today. We see many activities that are converging to start a program that will end up with a car at those time frame. And yes, it means that if it really will happen, it should be announced soon, right?
Wow. So we got you at the right time. Really, it's really like, it's amazing. It's exciting because listen, cars have been one way for basically forever, and now they're changing. And once they change, it's over. Once this technology is in it, it only gets better. So that's really
sure. I mean, it's like, today most airplanes do not use a real pilot, right? I mean, everything is actually done automatically, and there is no good reason to go back. And I believe that in 50 years from today, there will be a person, going into the car and asking yourself, how did anyone imagine that I would do this? Like, who would, like, who's insane enough to take responsibility of what's going on there? It's like, it doesn't make sense. And it's true, by the way. I mean, it is almost inhumane capability. I mean, look, let's talk a little bit about accidents. I mean, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Most of the accidents are related to bad, I would say, driver decision, or I would say human fault. I don't want to say a driver fault, because sometimes it's just a human fault.
Yeah.
Most of us, are human, and therefore we can make mistakes. And that's basically what you want to solve, because once you are dependent on the person, constant, I would say, focus, and when you drive on a highway and it becomes like you're driving a straight road for hours and hours, it becomes very difficult to keep your focus and attention, and people tend to have overconfidence in, of course, I'm driving very good, I said it
Yeah.
at the beginning, but some people have overconfidence in their ability to drive good, and it means that they might think that they understand well enough the scene in order to allow themselves to be distracted because they get a message on their phone, and it takes 1 second to make a mistake,
Right.
and it's because they're human, right? And we all make those mistakes. I mean, besides me, which I'm a perfect driver, but most of us do mistakes on the road, and I think it's a pity. I mean, it really is a pity that you might make one stupid mistake and pay for it for your entire life, because of some technology that could have actually be available already to solve that problem.
And that's where Innoviz comes in. I'm very, first of all, I'm very excited to see. I'm very excited to see what happens, because it's really cool, and I cannot thank you enough for first of all explaining what you do, explaining what's going to happen in the future, and also trying to solve this problem, which it seems like you guys are, so that everyone can be safer. So thank you for that, and
Absolutely.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was fun.
It's been really interesting. Thank you.